They say crazy in America. They say I'm crazy in America.
They say I'm crazy. Label me with sickle, said I'm lazy. They tried to fade me, but the devil don't know I'm an original color, so you'll never fade me. Alright, what's your name?
They call me Taylor. Talk to you face to face. You're going too crazy and that person won't even talk to you. They'll just see the way you're behaving and then they'll call the ambulance and you're going to the hospital. But if they come there on a referral and you seem calm enough to actually talk to the SATS agent, but then you talk to them, and I actually used to be pretty good at like making them think I'm cool, you know what I mean? I actually got into it with one of the workers before because she was like, you know how to talk to those white people, but I know you crazy. Yeah, because I was like wilding out, and then as soon as the SATS person came, because I was used to the process, I calmed down and start talking to him all reasonably. He's like, yeah, I don't think you need to be hospitalized. Just calm down and chill out. And then he left, and then I started wilding out again, and then when he came back, he didn't talk to me. They just sent me to Heartgrove. I escaped the hospital. So we had this whole thing where everybody was going to come out their rooms on an overnight shift because it's only 2 staff there on an overnight shift. And everybody was just going to bum rush. I was going to jump over the counter, get the fire extinguisher, spread at the fire alarm, so all the alarms go off in the building, and then we just leave and everybody, just bail out. Well, how it ended up happening was everybody else chickened out. I was the only one who did it. I jumped over the thing, grabbed the fire extinguisher, sprayed the fire alarm, and escaped. This is in Des Plaines, Illinois. I was out there, and then I ended up hiding in somebody's garage. And then some white lady came out and she called the police and all this other stuff. Then they took me to the police department. The police department brought me to McDonald's and they called it back and brought me back to the hospital. And I was only like 12 or 13. I don't know. I was young. So they bring me back to the hospital. Now, I'm fully compliant, wasn't bothering nobody, wasn't like wilding, was like whatever. I was tired anyway. I did this shit like 3 in the morning. I was 12, 13. I was sleepy at this point. So he ended up taking me back. And when I get back, they didn't let me go in my room. They put me in an isolation room and strapped me down. Even though I was perfectly calm and really didn't need any of that. And they gave me a shot, Thorazine. And it was all of his, what's his name? He was being vindictive. That said, I didn't ever like him, but that's because he didn't take any shit. He was actually a pretty good dude. With the exception of that, he was being vindictive. But I think he got in trouble because of that, so whatever.
So you only supposed to give someone a shot if they're being out of control?
If they're erratic and out of control. No one's supposed to get a shot or strapped down if they're fully compliant. Heartgrove, they will do it left and right. Like you will just be like, shut up, bitch, and just walk off, and then next thing you know, it's 3 dudes dragging you in an isolation room and giving you a shot. And that doesn't qualify as erratic and out of control. You know what I mean? Call somebody out their name is not enough. Heartgrove is by far the worst mental institution I know. Like, for 90% of the people there end up in Honey Home. So it's like pre-jail. Think of that's how Heartgrove is. It's not about treatment. I can't even tell you whether I've had a group out there, like any like groups or therapy sessions while I was there. I don't even remember doing any of that kind of stuff there. Then he put you in a big room for a whole bunch of people. Well, kids. It's all kids because you have adolescent and then you have adult or whatever. But it was all crazy. It was super rude and just, you know what I mean? It's just not, it wasn't a real professional environment. And that was the last one I ever went to. Okay, this is what I've learned about medication just from my manic episode and other situations is that medications are designed to even an imbalance in your brain, okay? So either you have too much of something and need to reduce it, or you have too little of something and they need to increase it, right? When you take medication, but when your mind is relatively balanced, like a normal, even person, and then you give a person medication, now you increase something in that, and you create an imbalance, which will create certain behavioral tics and stuff like that. Like they are crazy, and you're the reason why. Like when they gave me Risperdal actually f***ed my liver a little bit. I was missing blood. I was 11. It messed me up. I'm almost convinced that it's messed with my fertility because I'd be smashing and I don't have no kids. I was in a long-term relationship, never used a condom, and every time I'm talking about through the entire cycle, like from menstruating to what's the other one, ovulating to dormant, like the whole process. Never had kids. I'm talking year relationship
Wow.
with a very fertile woman. She just had 2 kids with another dude, so it wasn't her, it's me. And like they give you these medications, and then they use these kids who don't really have nobody to like advocate on their behalf on the spot to say, nah, we ain't gonna do that, or nah, we gonna do this way, or maybe we just stick to the therapy rather than pumping him full of these unknown drugs. Thorazine, Clonidine, Adderall. What's the one for antidepressants like popular? Zoloft, Zyprexa.
They gave you all those?
Yeah. Zyprexa is the worst. I hated that more than Thorazine. Zyprexa is very similar to Thorazine in the fact that it's basically a tranquilizer. And it's like this big. It was back when I didn't like pills. And a pill is like the size of like, think of like 2 peanut M&Ms. And you gotta swallow that and it puts you down. You're done. Like, you're gonna take that pill, I promise you 30 minutes later, you're not capable of doing anything. I never felt so trapped in my own body than when I was on Zyprexa. At least with Thorazine, you just go to sleep. With that Zyprexa, you're like in between being asleep and like just, it's like you're walking through water. And I ended up getting Risperdal and it affected my hormones a little bit. Like, I have really big nipples as a result. These people, they just sit there basically because they have behavior problems and they're just done with them type deal. And then there's people in there who really have been to institution, like eating their own shit. It's like, man, leave him alone, bro. You crazy for real. You see what I mean? I may be in like normal circles that probably create a stigma, but 90% of the time it's more fascination. Like, you went into institution? Tell me about it. Like, I suppose maybe some people will see it as a stigma. I probably wouldn't put it on a job application. But now I do counseling and I don't mind doing it. But when I was then, I just didn't see the benefit of it. And I still don't see the benefit of it. Like, I'm not a big advocate for like individual therapy with children who haven't been through like major trauma. It's different when you've been like through major trauma, but to just get it, what's the benefit to a child? Critically thinking as a child to even use that, you know what I mean? To take advantage of it in that way. Now I understand if a child's been through like trauma and stuff like that, but for the way they were using it for me, it was just their way of saying, oh, he won't listen to me, let's send him to a mental institution. These staff aren't necessarily, to me, in my opinion, qualified to deal with mentally ill people. It's just like regular people who got some on-the-job training and now they're dealing with these people who have special needs that they're not necessarily qualified. You know what I mean? Like, they just let anybody do this stuff. I remember when I was at Bentley, they had a whole, like, all 90% of the staff there were, like, of the male staff there, all got the same job from word of mouth from each other, coming up there and applying, and they all play for North Chicago Semi-Pro Football League. 90% of all, like, it's like a whole club of them there now. So many of them, it's called Allendale. So many of them play for North Chicago Semi-Pro League. And that used to be the thing. It was like at least, I want to say at least like 12 of them from the team who got a job there. And they were like the heavy hitters. That's what they call them, like fuck people up and shit. Yes, like as soon as you wild out and you deal with some dude and he has anger management problem himself and you won't listen to him and their pride kicks in and now they're fucking you up. You know what I mean? So,
Like kicking you and punching you?
I've been punched. I don't think I've ever been kicked, but I've been like 90% of the time the worst thing they do is pick you up and slam you. Or they'll like hold you down and like try to get like cheap jabs in because it is staff there who won't, you know what I mean, do that stuff. So 90% of the violence is gonna happen either when they know like the goody two-shoes staff ain't gonna be there, or if they can isolate you somewhere out of eyesight and then they get to be your word against their word type stuff. Adult mental institutions and when you're actually dealing with people who are actually mentally ill. So they wouldn't pull it with me because I'm able to eloquate. You see what I mean? Like I can tell a person something. I tell enough people somebody's gonna believe it. Whereas if you like a really crazy person who's just like eating shit and not very able to communicate, then you can do whatever you want to do to them because they can't communicate what you've done to them. Some people will say this, like some people fucked up, and like some genuinely like just indifferent to the point of cruel people in mental institutions and stuff like that. Like I've met people who's just mad at the world and it's like, why do you have this job when you got to deal with difficult people if you already like unhappy in your life? You know what I mean? Like you got to be the type of person who can absorb a lot of damage and be able to brush it off to have that kind of job. If you're the type of person who can't get called a bitch without wanting to fight, then you shouldn't have this job, because you're gonna get, people gonna say, call you bitches, spit on you, you might get shit pissed thrown at you, somebody might bite you, tackle, you know what I mean? And if that's the kind of thing that you can't brush off or apply to that other person's mental illness without holding a grudge against the person, then it's not for you, because you're going to end up hurting somebody, getting fired, or you're going to end up making somebody worse off than they are, because you're not equipped to even handle the stress that you should predict is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's a crazy person. Anything can happen, especially in jail. Like, I met a lot of people and they'll be like, and I was like, they'll tell me this, and this, and I'm like, you been a hard girl? Like, everybody's been a fucking hard girl. Like, everybody's been a hard girl. Like, most of the people who've been in Audi home, that's the first place they go. And that's how they use this institution. It's almost like they use it like a punishment rather than a treatment. It's like, you're acting up, you're going to the hospital, rather than like, you have problems and you need to get help and we're gonna go get you the help you need. Because you always feel like you're being punished in those places. You never really feel like you're getting treatment. Even when you talk to staff, you're like, why are you acting like that? And you're like, because you don't want to know how to behave. It's like, okay, well, I'm crazy.